Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston. I'm Dr. Marian M. Pinkston, and I have the absolute honor to have Dr. Carolyn Dean from Hawaii in beautiful Maui, who is enjoying life after years and years of very hard work. Dr. Dean has been a huge influence over many physicians in the integrative side, but over me as well. And since we've met this last year, done a lot of work for me and changed my disease framework here and in my life. And so I am honored to have you on, Dr. Dean. Welcome in. Mm-hmm. Good to see you.
Thank you, Marianne. And you're going to call me Carolyn, I hope.
I will call you Carolyn and Marianne in return, please. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so we are going to talk about what I have been going through a little bit. I have no shame in admitting, and anybody that's been in integrative medicine has a story. So you've been sick or a family member's been sick, somewhere down the line, you've got a story. So that's mine. And almost 18 and a half years, almost 19 years now, I have been on a path trying to figure out what the heck is going on with me. And you know what? I think we are finally on to it. And I appreciate that so much. So everybody wants to know about Candida these days. What is it? It's yeast. So Candida, tomato. That is has a big bearing, I think, on a lot of our health and issues that are going on. And I think although it's a very difficult thing to get control of, it's simple in its philosophy. And I think many people are going off on tangents. Tell me if I'm wrong. With mold or Lyme absolutely exists, or some other issues. It might be actually as simple as Candida underneath. Am I correct at all in saying that? Or
yeah, very much so. I just did a lecture here in Maui last night. I started doing monthly lectures, and it was about Candida, yeast overgrowth. And it was wonderful. It was amazing. Everybody was so amazed that this organism that exists naturally, supposedly mostly in our large intestine, because we take antibiotics, eat a lot of sugar, take cortisone, are under stress and produce our own cortisol, we allow yeast to overgrow into our small intestine. And in the small intestine, it pokes holes. There's our leaky gut.
There you go.
78 waste products that yeast produces in its life cycle. And those 78 waste products, they get absorbed through the leaky gut, and the immune system has to deal with them. So it's a setup that we've created in our, in our industrialized environment, in our medicalized environment, with antibiotics kill off all the bacteria. And then the yeast have a vacuum to crawl into. So that's physically what's happening.
And it is profound, let me tell you. So what are all of the symptoms? How would somebody know that they might have a yeast problem with yeast?
Well, Dr. William Crook, I read his book back after my medical training. I did naturopathic training, and that's where I learned about yeast. In 1986, Dr. William Crook, I think he was a pediatrician, and Dr. Orion Truss, they wrote books on yeast. The Yeast Connection was Dr. Crook's book. Now, it so happened that because I learned about yeast in my naturopathic training, and I realized I had yeast from my birth control pill and mercury fillings, antibiotics, since I was a kid, I started treating people for yeast overgrowth. I had the Candida Research and Information Foundation in my building. I was on it. And Marianne, in 1989, I was invited on a provincial television program called Speaking Out. And it was 90 minutes. Dr. William Crook came up. I was on the panel with him. And we talked for 90 minutes on a call-in show. There were 60,000 calls into that show.
Excellent.
So that TV show and the response from the audience really let me know how important it was for people to understand about all these symptoms from head to foot. We haven't talked about that, but with these 78 different waste product toxins, I mean, you can have foggy head, you can have itchy eyes, itchy nose, itchy throat, you can have gas and bloating. It can cause symptoms throughout the body. And what I found over the years is there's an interaction of these yeast toxins with soft tissue and organs.
Wow.
Ari Vojdani, he did a lot of work in immunology. He's an immunologist, and he proved that there's a definite cross-reaction with the thyroid. So people with yeast overgrowth will have thyroid problems.
Gotcha.
And every tissue in the body can be affected. The yeast produces acetaldehyde, which is the supreme toxin. It's produced by cigarette smoke and gas exhaust and a few other things, but also by yeast. And that's quite incredible when you think it can poison any tissue in the body.
Isn't that amazing?
Alcohol as a waste product of yeast overgrowth. You can get pulled over and do a breathalyzer, and they say you have a DUI because you're producing so much alcohol from yeast overgrowth. It's rare, but it's definitely a thing. And you've got toxins that I only discovered when I went into mold research, because they would say, oh, these are the toxins from mold, and they can also be produced by Candida species. So it's like not something that we're taught. In Japan, they discovered a toxin called Candida lysine, and they could isolate this, inject it into rats, and they would just fall over dead. It was so poisonous.
Oh my, wow. Well, and you can, I'm sorry, go ahead. I apologize.
No. So we've got a situation where doctors won't recognize it, perhaps because they're causing it by all the prescriptions. They said about Dr. William Crook when he wrote this book, The Yeast Connection, in 1986, that it was a fad disease.
Absolutely.
However, in 1949, actually the year I was born, they had been using penicillin for a year, and they said one of the things that's happening is people develop yeast.
Right.
And they've known about it, and it's just another thing that's been misplaced and misdiagnosed because there's one drug for it. And the drugs they do use, one of the drugs, they tried to get me to do a study on my patients back in Toronto when I was in family practice. They knew I was treating yeast. And it turns, I didn't do the study, of course, but it turns out that drug had a fluoride molecule attached. And what that means is, I think 50% of the commonly used blockbuster drugs have fluoride attached, which makes it easier for the drug to cross the fatty cell membrane. That's what it does. But the intestinal flora, their job is to break down chemicals. They break down these drugs, fluoride is released, and the fluoride preferentially binds to magnesium, Marianne.
Oh, there you go.
It creates a magnesium chloride compound, MgF2, called cellate. And where does it want to go? To tendons and joints.
There you go.
One of the black box warnings on Cipro, which is a fluoride drug, you can just go to Wikipedia and look at the chemical formula.
Absolutely.
When you see the F, that's fluoride, and the black box warning for tendon rupture. And how many people, athletes, they want to do their games and they can't miss or whatever. The doctor gives them a Cipro, and it seems to accumulate. So you may not feel it the first or second time, third time, boom, tendon rupture. At my talk last night, someone came up to me and she said, that's exactly what happened to me. So we've got a very serious condition, which, reeling back a bit, I consider to be the basis of autoimmune disease.
Yes.
What have we talked about? All the yeast toxins going to the soft tissues, mimicking, blocking, irritating. The immune system has to attack them. While attacking them, they attack this soft tissue that they're attached to, autoimmune disease.
There
And
you
then
go.
the other part of autoimmune disease in my world is magnesium deficiency and mineral deficiency in general. I look at all the minerals as important, but what we found in my company, because I make a picometer size stabilized ion of magnesium, which is what the cells prefer to absorb. After a couple of months, if customers just taking my magnesium, they start feeling like they're detoxing yeast.
Yes.
The immune system starts to wake up. Before that, the immune system is weakened. The body says, well, everybody's, we're supposed to have some yeast. We're not even going to think about it. But at the same time, all these toxins are invading. But then when magnesium, which is responsible for 80% of known metabolic functions, when that gets to work, then the immune system is revved up and it starts recognizing the overload. And people say to our customer service, oh, I've got a coated tongue, itchy eyes, itchy ears, gas and bloating. And I was feeling so good. What's going on? And we said, oh, great. Now we can help you with your yeast overgrowth.
Exactly.
And I mean, we can get to the treatment, but it includes stabilized ion of silver.
Right. Interesting.
Natural antibiotic, antifungal, antiviral, which is safe. It doesn't kill off good bacteria. Silver is still used medically when people have these horrible total body burns. The only thing that will really help them is to coat with impregnated silver. And it's not silver that I use, it's a silver compound, but it still is so safe and effective. But of course, it got put aside for the most part because of pharmaceutical antibiotic.
Correct. And I will tell you, my trainer loves colloidal silver, and she gets a cat scratch, her dog gets a scratch, same thing. And she's a big proponent of it, and I agree, it has been set aside. We do have natural means that would be effective.
Let me just clarify: colloidal silver is a compound.
Yes,
it's not the ion. So you can go one step further because it happens so rarely, but the compound can precipitate in the skin. And occasionally at conferences, I've seen people with their gray skin from silver. It's not a thing, but it looks terrible. It's so sad.
It does. And thank you for clarifying that. I will happily admit I do not know the difference. And so this is all, the silver compounds and I know of them because we're not taught as medical doctors. We are not taught this information. And so it's just something you have to pick up and learn from somebody as wonderful as you. So with I think if patients sometimes may wonder, how do they know they have it? How do they know this is the problem? And how do they get diagnosed?
Well, when I was treating yeast up in Canada, actually, I worked with Dr. Ari Vojdani. He came up and set up a lab for me.
Wow.
And I was testing yeast antibodies and also food allergy antibodies. And it turned out that by simply giving people a questionnaire, it was better than yeast antibodies, because when you look at antibodies for yeast, everybody has them.
Yes.
And they have them in different amounts. If they're really overgrown with yeast, they may not even produce as many antibodies because the immune system is so weakened.
Wow,
so I realized it wasn't the way to diagnose. And Marianne, that can be another reason why doctors don't get involved with yeast, because they don't have a test for it.
Right.
And what I found, first of all, I was working with Dr. William Crook's 70-item questionnaire. 70 items. So what it was, I think it was like 14 questions about your history, 23 symptoms of major symptoms, 33 minor symptoms.
Wow.
So head to foot, anything can be happening. Rashes are big. When I mentioned people taking my magnesium, the immune system kicks in and you get a coat tongue and itchiness. Rashes are big. It's just non-specific rashes. And what happens in medicine when you have a rash, they'll give you a steroid cream, which will cause more yeast. So it's something that, the whole yeast business has been ignored and set aside to the detriment of our health. Because treating yeast, you do have to look at the diet. Because of my birth control pill, mercury fillings, antibiotics, all the rest of it, I had so much yeast that I would often get colds and flus. When I started my hospital clerkships and everything in my training, I started to get little staphylococcal nasal boils. Because my immune system was so weakened, I would just pick up anything. And I even think I'm at the point that if you can control your yeast and your microbiome, you won't get parasites either. And I say that because in customer service, we have hundreds of thousands of customers, and we never hear people say, oh, I've got terrible parasites now. What should I do? Because when they get symptoms that look like parasites, well, they can be yeasty too. So they go on our yeast protocol. And I've said it's a picometer stabilized ion of silver. But I also, the capsule part of it is Saccharomyces boulardii, which is a gentle antifungal probiotic that's so safe it's used in childhood diarrhea and in tropical disease diarrhea. So I use that. I use humic fulvic. Now, humic fulvic is so amazing. It's from the humus that's been for millennium being packed down by all the leaves and trees and the fungus and mold that breaks them down. If we didn't have fungus and mold to break down trees that fall, we'd be overrun, right? So humic fulvic, and there are whole companies that their whole product line is just humic fulvic because it is so effective. It's prebiotic, probiotic. It has minerals. It will pull out heavy metals and toxins. It might be helping us with the plastics. It might be helping us with spike protein. So it's part of the detox that I want to happen with a yeast product. So those two, the silver and this antifungal, are just so important. Food-wise, you really have to avoid excess sugar, gluten, and dairy. Dairy because of the lactose sugar in dairy. And what people will do there, Marianne, is for a couple of weeks, they'll strictly avoid those foods. They'll be taking the silver and the antifungal, and things will sort themselves out. Actually, one sidebar about silver is that it stops the Herxheimer reaction.
Interesting. I was about to ask about that because a lot of times people get, and when they try their own, Candida therapies or doctors who really don't know and understand it well, they do feel horrible when that yeast begins to die off and get that Herxheimer's reaction. So, you start a treatment, you feel bad. You start a treatment, you feel worse. And that is a clear sign you're getting better, but you got to live through that. And it's tough.
Right. And what we do as well, I've coined the term too toxic to detox. So before putting people on a antifungal regimen, I really get them involved with taking psyllium seed powder, just to bulk up the stools and pull out toxins, and bentonite clay. Because the clay has a huge surface area that will pull toxins and even heavy metals. So there's a way to slowly get into a detox. I'm not keen on these. Oh, you have to purge. You have to do a liver detox, and then you have to purge yourself. No, you want your body to have the building blocks to do it. To do it in the priority that the body wants. Because if you think intellectually, well, I better do this. If you start purging your liver, the liver will sequester viruses. And if you purge your liver, you can actually release these viruses. So it just, to me, I've been at this like 50 years.
A long time.
What I've gotten to is just how the cells of the body want to be perfect. So you want to give them perfect building blocks. The whole body system has priorities, and it knows better than you do. So if you give it the building blocks, people will say, well, I heard about taking magnesium for my heart palpitations, but when I took magnesium, my leg cramps went away, and my migraines went away, and my pills were working better because this dialysis works, and then my heart got better. So it's amazing how the body will work if you just trust it and give it a chance.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And that is absolutely true. The building blocks are the basis of it all. So magnesium is your baby. That is something you have worked long and hard at. No, I know your book. Let's talk about that. Because you really have done this for very long. And by the way, you look amazing. If I do what you do, will I look amazing in life? And after 50 years of practice and working, which I hope I get the chance to do. It's
Absolutely. Beautiful. Here's what I've just coined this last night at my lecture. What is it? MAYA, MAHA, Make America Healthy Again.
Thank you.
I'm doing Make America Young Again. MAYA. And beautiful. Actually, Marianne, I've been invited to an Arizona fundraiser panel discussion to how to promote the health, etc. So I'm going to be the doctor on the panel that's saying, well, here's the answer. Basic, good diet. I totally fund a organic farm here, so I'm walking that walk. I have a charity where I fund the farm, but also healthy living and all the rest of it. And actually, we just got hooked up with the court system here so that we can provide community work requirement hours for people who've, had a DUI or something. So that is through my charity, I can send people to the farm. So what I want to do with folks is just say there are basic things that our body needs, the minerals I've talked about after a chemist and I perfected this stabilized ion of magnesium. I said I have to have a multiple. And the multiple I have is 12 minerals. 9 of them support thyroid hormone production. 9 of them. It's iodine. Okay, yeah. T3, T4, the 3 and the 4 relate to the number of iodine atoms on these hormones. And it's not just about iodine, though. I mean, we know that people have been taking tons of iodine and getting into problems because what happens after iodine, and it's not linear, it's probably all over the place, but if you look at it linear, it's like, then you need selenium for the next stage. And then, you may need boron or manganese or molybdenum or copper, and the magnesium is in there as well. So we haven't got a prayer of working with the medical establishment about these things because they never studied them.
Absolutely.
They don't trust anything that they didn't learn in med school.
That's right. Ooh, well said. Oh my gosh. And what we learned in medical school really is 50 to 100-year-old medicine. It's things that we learned way back. It's not updated, new, and anything we adopt in America seems to be about, 15 to 20 years behind. We'll eventually get there.
Right.
Eventually.
There's
too late.
of big pharma, I'm going to go over here to something I downloaded about biologics. And I know you know about biologic medicines because they keep trying to push them on autoimmune disease.
Oh, I've had 12 of them. I've taken 12 of them now. Thank you.
Wow.
I know. I'm done.
And yeah, I don't know. Can I go into it a little bit to
Please,
what we're up against?
Yes.
Instead of medicine looking at the building blocks for the health of the body, magnesium, 80% of known metabolic functions, why would they ignore that? Instead, they went to something called biologics because it makes people think that you're trying to treat something naturally. A biologic is a drug or vaccine made from a living organism.
Yes.
A biologic can be made from proteins, sugars, DNA, cells, or living tissue. The source may be human, animal, or a microorganism like a bacteria or virus.
Right.
And they say, and this is just, a simple search. You may require biologic, especially if conventional drugs prove ineffective. So instead of looking for something more natural, they go to this biologic, and it's like a flim flam.
Right. It's a Band-Aid. It's another Band-Aid. You've got a cytokine or a leukotriene or something that is, out of control, TNF or all these things. And so you try to diminish what is out of control, but why can't we go down? And maybe it's appropriate when you first get sick and you're not going to work, or, that's what we tried to do, is just get control of something while we were looking for the root cause. But eventually, no root cause that can be seen. So this makes you a little bit better, not all the way better, makes you a little bit better. So just stay on it. That's been kind of the philosophy.
It's suppressing symptoms. And what we've come to with these autoimmune conditions is inflammation.
Yes.
So medicine will say, okay, you've got this disease and it's inflammatory. So we have to give you an anti-inflammatory drug. Yeah. And that when I was looking up a list of the biologics, maybe 50% of them are anti-inflammatories. Yeah. Now we had the problem with the SSRIs. What do they call it? NSAIDs.
Oh, the NSAIDs. Yeah, NSAIDs.
Non-steroidal anti-inflammatories.
Absolutely.
And the anti-inflammatories started with the cortisones. And back in the day when they discovered that they could give cortisone pills and shots, they started using it dramatically on rheumatoid arthritis. And they had cures that lasted until all the side effects just popped up, the thinning of the bone, so osteoporosis and fractures and gut problems. So we know all these drugs have side effects, but what pharma keeps doing is trying to leap ahead and say, oh, now we've got the cure. You heard what I read out. They're using DNA. They don't know how to control DNA. Absolutely. They're talking about these drugs go in and affect certain proteins. In what way do they affect them?
Right. And we need to know more. We really do. We need to know way more, but we need to, as you said, trust the body, give it what it needs in those building blocks and let it do its job. I quickly, before we go to a break, I want to tell people what can happen with NSAIDs. Now, this does not happen to everyone. And sometimes you need these things, talk to your doctor, all those, kind of CYA thoughts. But what happened to me was I couldn't get anybody to believe me how sick I was, and still having to go to work. I had children to raise. I had a family to provide for and patients to provide for. So still went to work, but it was so miserable that I was taking 1,200 milligrams of ibuprofen, sometimes 3 times a day, just to function, just to get out of bed. I had a GI bleed, so my stomach bled. I almost died with that. I killed my kidneys. I went into renal failure. So I had a GFR that was in the lower 30s. And so did that. And tinnitus, horrible ear ringing. I almost killed myself doing that. Now, I needed somebody to understand and believe me, but at the time, that's all I could do to keep going. So these are not without consequences. We do have to be very cautious. So I just want people to understand, yes, you may need them. Yes, they can help. It's something, but it's a Band-Aid. It is not the solution. So seek help.
And you know what I say? I think people come to my company probably partly because I am a doctor, and they think, well, she might know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
We never tell people to stop their medications.
Sure.
Your medications are there, prescribed by a doctor. They're there for a reason, but they're there usually to suppress maybe yeast overgrowth or to treat mineral deficiencies.
Yes.
And when you start taking our minerals and our food-based vitamin C and our natural food-based and methylated Bs and omega-3 from algae, not from fish, our vitamin D3, K2. And when you start taking these natural things, your body perks up. You start sleeping better. Your tension leaves. And I always say any sane doctor will help wean you down on your medications.
Absolutely.
I'm not scared of medications. I want people to feel comfortable. And you can take your drugs for your symptoms, but as your body improves, you won't need the drugs.
You won't need them. And like you say, any sane doctor would want you to be off medication, and that would be far too appropriate. Absolutely.
We had one customer years ago. He had ankylosing spondylitis. That's where your spine just gets rigid and cramped up.
Yeah.
And he started with our products, and after a certain amount of time, he started calling into my radio show and saying, I'm riding my bicycle now.
Oh, bless his heart. It's wonderful when you get to the root of it all. Well, and so we'll take a short break, but speaking of which, how do people get in touch with you? I know you have Dr. Dean Live. You've got this great show, and that is carried on my network. Thank you. And your viewership is growing and everything is wonderful. So how do people get in touch with you and find answers?
My store site is rnareset.com. And that's what we're doing. And my educational site is Carolyn, LYN, Dean.com. So there are two main sites, and we have to keep them separate because the FDA won't let me say positive things about my products.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, you have to do a break, so
we will do a very short break. You'll love this. You'll love this coming up. But we'll take a short break and be right back. And of course, actually, you can see. I got to give my own shout out. You can go to drpbetterlife.com and you can see a previous show with Dr. Dean, and she's going to be up and coming more and more. We're going to have her back, and drpbetterlife.com, and I'll have all of her information there already due from your past show. And so please visit. And yes, we'll be right back.
Depression, anxiety, low energy, weakness, these are just some symptoms of low B12 levels. And the absorbable B12 folate supplement that's helping people declare victory over depression symptoms is Denovo Plus B12 by Magna Pharmaceuticals. Patients with symptoms of depression often exhibit low levels of folate and vitamin B12. The human body needs sufficient folate intake to produce the essential neurotransmitters serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These neurotransmitters alleviate feelings of sadness, anxiety, and gloom. What makes Denovo Plus B12 so successful? Denovo Plus B12 contains readily absorbable folate and B12. That means it's more successful at correcting the root cause of your deficiency, not just the symptoms. Whether you are suffering with low energy, depression, fatigue, or anxiety, you owe it to yourself to learn more at magnaweb.com. That's magnaweb.com. Please let us know at checkout that you heard about Denovo Plus B12 on The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston.
know you also have a great methylated B vitamin as well, so we don't want to sidetrack that at all. And thank you to Magna for all their support. But I know you do. I want to talk a little bit about Candida and stress, because stress, I think, is what is at the heart of most people's issues these days. At least stress is terrible on people.
Yeah, and people just think of it as this generic stress. It's almost like we talk about it so much that we're kind of blind to it, or it's like
it's like a piece of the puzzle now. It's accepted. It's what it is. So just accept it. Right?
But then how are we treating it? The methylated bees are one of the ways. I mean, this is what's so amazing. And when they talk about the MTHFR gene variations, I don't call them mutations, Marianne. I think that makes people feel like they're less than and there's nothing they can do about it.
Right. Well said.
I think gene variations. And I don't recommend people go for their 23andMe. I don't like people having to look at 100 genetic problems. They
By
will
themselves.
list all these things and say, "Well, your gene," and mentally, that is going to make a person feel so less than that they just give up.
Defeated.
Yeah. Okay, so and maybe I talked about this on our previous show, but it's very important. When they were doing the Genome Project, the researchers wanted to find the genes that cause this and that disease. They specifically said, we want to snip out the bad genes in people. And what they found after years of identifying all the genes in the body, they thought they'd find about 100,000, for all the functions in the body. They found 23,000.
Wow.
And they realized, oh my gosh, there's one gene is doing a lot of different things. It's not just isolated. And it's epigenetics that it's turning genes on and off. And the big epigenetic factors are magnesium and other minerals and the B vitamins. They are so important. And then when you look at this MTHFR business, about 40 or more % of people in our population have MTHFR problems. So why test yourself? Why pay for an expensive test when you're likely to have the problem? Just low dose food-based methylated bees. Right. So medically, when they got into the MTHFR problem, they would give high dose stuff. And in the beginning, they were giving synthetic folic acid. It's not methylated. So anyway, with these problems in our environment, the stress, that what we went through in COVID, those COVID years were horrible. What I realized is the isolation that
awful in society.
I would walk the beach walk. There would be nobody out. Everybody just got scared. It was so fear-based. And now what we're doing here in Maui is you can go up to a stranger and in 2 minutes you're hugging. We are so physical.
We're back. I noticed it. Just to get to that point and agreement. I noticed that before COVID, I was able to shake hands with my patients. I hugged my patient. I walk in the room. That's the first thing I do always, for years and years and years. During COVID, what did we do? Do the elbow bump, and I couldn't touch people anymore. I truly believe that it was widespread and affected us severely. People are starting to come back a little bit now. I'm starting to see the kindness again and the empathy and everything. That disappeared from us for a very long time. Very sad.
So the vitamins, we can look at every vitamin and mineral as helping us with stress, actually. So I think what's happened in natural medicine, alternative medicine, nutrient medicine, is we're treating it too much like big pharma, where what one mineral or one vitamin is going to help with this disease, and we just can't go there. And that's what the studies are about. When I was on the board of the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine for 6 years, and they were doing that. They were doing research on not only on a herb, but an isolated chemical in the herb that could be the most effective for this or that disease. So they stripped us away from a holistic approach. And when it comes to herbs, I was doing AIDS research in Manhattan in the early 90s, and we were using Chinese herbs. But when the head of the study died and we lost our contact to this Chinese herb store and specifically his friend, I could no longer trust what I was getting from China. And when I went to a manufacturing company that would take raw herbs and encapsulate them, because I thought, well, maybe that would help. I said, well, what happens when you get a contaminated herb from a foreign country, contaminated with heavy metals or infested with, bugs and beetles and all that. And they assured me, not knowing that this would totally freak me out, they assured me, well, we can spray with this nitric something or other, and we can heat it up to such a high temperature. They had all these ways of treating the herb, they said, before they had to send it out for testing. And the herbs passed the test, but they were dead. The herbs were dead.
Exactly.
And you couldn't tell if they're organic from a foreign country. Someone said they could be just sweeping up scrapings from the floor and encapsulate. Seriously, I was so pro herbs before that, and then I said I can't even recommend herbs unless you're kind of growing them yourselves. And actually, that's why I'm big on farming here in Maui. Beautiful. Where I can grow. I am growing my own organic turmeric for a product.
Oh, wow.
I'm told that it's very difficult to find organic turmeric and organic anything that you can trust. I only trust things that I make myself.
Right. And, they say that organic really in the United States is a purchased label. You only have to meet 70% criteria in order to put the label on. So that's, So caution.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. Dr. Dean.
We should tell people, Marianne, that they can join community supported agriculture. CSAs are throughout all of America.
There's an app, actually, right? Where you can find them all over. So, I'm sorry. Yeah, but you're right.
Yeah. And that means that you can become a member of a farm, and they will, during the harvesting season, deliver organic produce to a central point, and then the members come and pick it up.
Right.
And we have to get to that point, because when you hear Stephanie Seneff talk about the glyphosates and how it's a type of fertilizer, I guess it's a Monsanto product, and how these fertilizers can bind up minerals, make them unavailable, cause all kinds of contamination in the soil. We have to support organic, and this is one of the things. Did I mention I'm going to Arizona to do a Maha talk?
You did, which is wonderful. I know. Bless, you're so busy. You got so much going on. But yes, which is wonderful.
One of the things I'm going to say, I'll say anything. I've been at this long enough. I can own the truth. And I'm going to say, okay, it's fine. You're taking the dyes out of Skittles and Fruit Loops. That's wonderful. Pat on the head. But let's go back to the basics of food itself. You have to support organic farming. My farmer has so many regulations. They're trying to regulate our 46-acre farm as if it were some thousands of acres and make us hire whole teams of staff to count our celery, and the person who counts it and puts it in the thing has to sign off. Our workers are foreign workers because we can't get any local workers to work. So our foreign workers don't even speak English, and they're expected
supposed to count. And, well, that's it. in the 70%, purchase label, a lot of what I understand is a lot of, local farmers and small farmer communities can't afford to buy the labeling. So their products go into the regular section of the grocery store, while the purchase 70% that's not really truly organic goes into the organic section. So be cautious, because you can get good stuff in the regular section.
Know your farmer.
Know your farmer. Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful point. Dr. Dean. Carolyn, I have to call you Dr. Dean in some aspect, because you are a mentor and you're like up here to me. So I love it. Thank you, Carolyn, so much for being on today. And we are going to do this again. And if anybody wants to hear certain topics, go to Dr. Dean's site, look over her information, her books, her products. If anybody has anything they want to hear from Dr. Dean on the show, please drop a comment for me. I would love to see people hear more from you of because it's so many things of what they want to hear. But please tell us where they can find you and all your information.
Yes, when you were talking about topics, I have a YouTube channel. Doesn't everybody?
Yes. And love it.
You can find, I think we just dropped one on osteoporosis and one on the brain. Oh, Marianne, have I told you this? In the brain, mitochondria it's where energy is made. Right. And energy, the ATP energy molecule, adenosine triphosphate, requires magnesium. Requires it. You can't have it without. Guess how many mitochondria are in each brain neuron? And let me give you a hint. The heart has 5,000 mitochondria because it needs a lot of energy.
It needs a lot of energy. The brain, oh my goodness, hundreds of thousands?
2 million.
Oh my.
Ooh. 2 million mitochondria in each of 86 is a billion neurons. Billion.
Right. Yeah, it's got to be.
So our brains are so busy. We need 20% of the glucose in the body apparently is metabolized by the brain and goes into the Krebs cycle to make energy. So we have to take care of our brains. Maybe that'll be our next topic.
I would love that to be our next topic. Absolutely. So that's amazing. And yes, and your YouTube channel is on my YouTube network, where people can just scroll. If you look through my shows, you can scroll to the bottom and there you are. And so easy access. And I do carry your information on my website. So drpbetterlife.com, your information is there, but please repeat it for everybody. I would love for them to hear.
RNAreset.com is my store site, and drcarolyndean.com is my educational site. I have a weekly radio show, all the blogs that I write, and then when you post our podcast, it'll show up on my feed as well.
Love that. Thank you for that support. So this is wonderful, and I appreciate you being on. But yes, we are going to do this again and soon. And so everybody go check all of her information out. Read that book. That magnesium book is wonderful. So that's it right there. 2 of them, actually. You're right. The Magnesium Miracle. I think that's the one I read, actually. So
I'm sure. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. Wonderful.
What happened, Marianne? The Magnesium Miracle was 600 pages. It was just too much. So this I condensed and updated. Yeah. So
beautiful. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. But we will do this again. Carolyn, have a great rest of your day and week. And absolutely, I love that. Look at that. That's so cool. I love that. And I love you too. Thank you guys. Everybody, love you as well. Have a great week.